Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome to KBN Live on a Monday night. Once again, we got a few people on Facebook and YouTube. Slowly, folks jumping on here and joining. I'm Jeff Malott. We got my partner, Ryan Lambert, over there. What's up, Ryan?
Fishing and competition, man. You know how we do.
Fishing and competition. Dang right. Dang right.
Keeping it G'd up from the feet up out here, baby. Get ready.
Yeah. We got Luke Aryan from Oklahoma, TOC qualifier, and now All American qualifier tonight. And we got, of course, Steve Owens, TD extraordinaire, and also hell of an angler.
Of course, Steve Owens, you say. Yeah. Who else would win the TVKA Classic on Guntersville? Steve-O.
Dang right. So it's going to be a fun one. We haven't had a national event in a couple weeks. We got another one coming up here this week. We'll talk about that. But before we get them on, we're going to talk about a few things that popped off. What do you want to start with, man?
One of my favorite things was the USA kayak fishing. The justification of KBN making it legit. That was my favorite part. That's my favorite part. Good job, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I actually talked to that fella back in the spring about him doing that. He said, I'm looking at your rankings, and I'm thinking about this and that. And I said, hey, man, they're there. Use them for what you will. And apparently they weighed heavy in his selection process.
I mean, there is nothing that will give you more clout than saying, I did this because KBN said so.
That's right. And just this evening, our guest Luke Aryan said this is the world's largest kayak fishing podcast. So now that we're also that.
I mean,
per Luke. So we're getting.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. I have a congratulations to Corey Grijalva, who named himself Kayak Bass Kayak Fishing Angler of the Week. So congrats, Corey. I just got that in. That reminds me, Shane Williams is the KBN moderator of the week. We're giving out all kinds of superlatives here tonight. Thank you, Shane, for your service.
The Kayak Bass, that's a nice segue to something else we want to talk about, which is the Cali folks getting ruffled up again.
And the KBN power rankings, spawning another, I don't know. I don't even know. Uprising. I don't know what happened. Of course, we got the screenshot of one of our locals bouncing around KBN here posted in Kayak Bass. Why are there no California guys on the power rankings? And Jeff, you can speak to this more than any of us, but there just aren't those big national level events in California.
Yeah, it's tough, man. All the events that I choose to do the power rankings, I know it's. You can't include everything. I try to go with national events only that draw anglers from more than just one or two states with a certain threshold of the amount of anglers in the event, number one. And that just hurts California. They don't travel out here because it's a long ways, and there's not really any events like that out there. Same thing happens to the Northeast, although this year there should be more Northeast events included because the KBF consolidated. Their trail events drew larger crowds and had a more diverse field, so they'll be included.
KBF may be the only shot of there being weight in the power rankings for the Northeast. I mean, they barely supported the Hobie event up there on Champlain, and the Chesapeake event was just That was just like you called a few of your buddies and met up at the ramp. So if you want to be included in this stuff, if you want these big tournaments, we say it all the time, but locally they have to be pushed. That's where the success of this comes from. I think they're excellent anglers in California. I mean, there's no denying that. We see a lot of these names across the boards when they do travel, but you can't expect to say this person's in the top 20 kayak anglers in the country if they only fish their local stuff. Like I don't think that's an accurate representation.
Yeah, it is nothing against, like you said, the Cali folks or the Northeast folks or whoever. It's not picking on them. It's just that's where the crowds were drawn as to different events where those folks weren't there to get the right amount of numbers. Maybe this year it'd be different. We'll see.
The only thing I have against you is the complaining. So cut that part out and you'll be fine.
That's it. No disrespect. There's anglers everywhere that are legit that could beat anybody anytime. They just weren't at the events we chose. That's it. What else we got? Oh, I want to know how somebody asked this. I think Valerie Grant asked, how did that Coates video come up on your For You page on TikTok, or how did you come across that unfortunate video?
I had a patron of the page. He's like, dude, you got to check this shit out. And I was like, what? You see the little thumbnail clip whenever somebody sends you a link. And I was like, what in the hell is this? Like, I mean, it looked kind of like a red-headed werewolf or something, like on the trailer porch or something. I was like, what in the world? I clicked it, and that's exactly what it was. It was Mark Coates, like, twerking it in some sweatpants or something, like, just putting it down for the ladies out there. And is he still in Arkansas? Is he still your neighbor, Jeff?
I don't know. He's in South Arkansas. That's like a different part.
There were several videos of that caliber out there, and there were actually a lot of interaction on those. So apparently he's got a pretty good target demographic going on the old TikToker.
Yeah, I like that. That's good stuff. Good job. Mr. Clapback. Good job over there.
Mr. Clapback, yeah.
Or the Mr. People's Clap if he keeps up those kind of dances.
The People's Clap. Yeah, he's out there. Shout out to our boy Ewing. He speaking of getting clapped, he got clapped pretty good in the college national championship. He texted us like halfway through day one and was like, well, turns out I still can't fish out of a bass boat. Which is amazing. The kid can win everything out of a kayak, and then you put him in a bass boat and he's back to the struggle bus. But
being on a team is different anyway. That's a whole different dynamic and trying to deal with your partner and all that. So, it's different.
I got faith in him. Shout out to Jackson and Carter Koza, some of our young anglers that just made their first leap into the college world. They just moved in last week. They're up at Carson Newman. I'm sure you'll be seeing both their names on the leaderboard this year.
All right, boys. Stay frosty up there. Don't get anything that gets you in trouble.
They've been hitting me up for lots of advice, so it should be fine.
Yeah. There was a couple things else I wanted to mention. The Pat Malone tournament. We didn't mention that last week. That's coming up in a few weeks. Everybody knows Pat Malone down in Texas is fighting off cancer. We know he's one of the toughest guys that any of us probably know, and we know he's going to fight hard, but they're putting on a benefit tournament for him down there, and you don't have to fish it. You can just sign up, donate the entry fee, or you can fish it. I think they opened it up nationwide. Do you know any more details?
It's nationwide, yep.
Yeah. It's on Tourney X, middle of September sometime. I don't have that.
And I think it's for Pat. I think that's
for Pat.
The name of the tournament. So you guys sign up for that if you can.
Yeah, get on that. And tonight, Ryan, I think we've got our biggest YouTube audience ever. There's like 20 folks on YouTube, and then we got usually the majority on Facebook Live.
I think it's because everybody's banned right now is why everybody's on YouTube. I know the Allens are back in prison. I'm in prison myself on Facebook. Nobody mentioned feet pics again, all right? That's a setup. I'm not responding anymore. Damn you, Zuckerberg. Whatever.
After all we've done, it would be very funny if the whole page got shut down over somebody saying something about feet pics.
Gosh, come on.
But Cliff is over on the YouTube. He's in the comments, so we see you, Cliff. Appreciate you, brother. And if I could beg you, anyone that's watching, to help us out, even if you always watch us on Facebook, if you'll go over to YouTube after this and just click subscribe. I know I'm begging for subscriptions, but that helps us in that algorithm over there, and it'll get this in front of a few more people that don't do Facebook, because there's quite a few people that don't. So get it in there recommended and help us out there. So thanks in advance.
All right.
Thanks in advance. Anything else before we get these fellas in?
Dylan is calling for more anglers up there in Wisconsin. They have spotted cow. They have cheese curds. They have a frog bite. So, go get in on some of that. Sign up for the BOS this weekend. Don't be scared. This is a great opportunity. These tournaments that have relatively low numbers relatively. That's a great opportunity to get some easy AOI points. So jump in that and try to punch your ticket to the TOC like young Dylan himself is going to.
Yeah, and I'm there. I'm signed up. I'm going to be there. I told Dylan and a few other folks we're going to try to hook up and have some dinner on Thursday night. So any KBNers that are going to be in the area, drop a message and we'll hang out a little bit on
Can
Thursday
I come
night.
up just for dinner? I don't even care about fishing.
Use some of those frequent flyers and just fly in town real quick.
I'll get the Cessna out of the garage.
Yeah, and if you haven't ever been up there, it is not the land of giants like you see down in the south, but it is a fun place to fish. Usually a lot of fish caught, and it's just a unique place to hang out and chase those bass. So hopefully you make it up there, everybody. Let's see, any more comments? Somebody's talking about bringing the lings. Don't bring the lings, Dylan. There's spotted
cow up there. Don't bring lings. I promise. For me to say that, it means a lot. Don't bring lings. Do the spotted cow.
All right. Well, these fellas been waiting long enough. What do you say?
All right. Steve-O's asleep. Let's wake him up. Let's go.
All right. We'll be right back, everybody.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
Boom, we're back.
Hey, all
Luke
right.
and Steve, what's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hey,
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for taking time to join us tonight. I know both of y'all, especially Steve, you just went through that marathon tournament. You got to be beat. But we're excited to talk to you both. Yeah. Who we want to start with tonight, Ryan?
Let's start with Luke because I know Steve-O gets fired up the longer that he's on here, so I want to get him at his peak.
All right. So for those that don't know, Luke's already a TOC qualifier. Now he's an All American qualifier. So yeah, man, Luke's a hammer. He's well known over here in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, this whole part of the country, and soon to be well known nationwide, I guess. Yeah, but because he's going to be in that, do some damage in that TOC. So we're glad to have you on here, Luke. Yeah, tell us about that. What happened down on 10 Killer, man? I mean that lake's not that far from here, although I rarely have ever been there. And you figured them out. Tell us about the event.
yeah, 10 Killer is it's one of my most favorite lakes in Oklahoma. It's a really diverse fishery. We have smallmouth spots and largemouth there, all really good fish, and then really good quality of fish too in there of all species. But if you get up in the river, kind of like wherever I went, then you can even get into some even the bigger largemouth in a condensed population, especially in the summertime.
So is that what you did? You went up to Illinois?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went up in the Illinois River. I've fished the Illinois River quite a bit, and it's just phenomenal fishery. It's one of Oklahoma's little hidden secrets. Yeah, there's a lot of drunk people out there in the summertime, in the majority of it. But if you get down the lower side, you're all right.
So here's a comment: Luck Aryan over Luke Aryan. What does that mean?
Randy throwing shade at you already.
Oh, Randy. Well, Randy.
Randy. Silly Randy.
No, the printing company misprinted my jersey, and instead of saying Luke, it says Luck on there. And
Are you kidding me?
No,
That's awesome.
So it's one of those things, kind of like a nickname. You can't name it yourself. You got to be given it. And so, printing company Rogue Custom Apparel, thank you for messing up my
That's awesome,
jersey.
man.
But the first time I wore
forever-
it was at the Hobie BOS over there in Broken Bow. So
And slid into the TOC.
slid into the TOC in third.
Yeah. You should never not have that as your name on your jersey, I would say.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. So, Ryan, you heard him say something about drunk people in the river. Also, there's a third leg to that.
Speak to my heart.
Yeah, they stock that river. Tell me if I'm wrong, Luke, with Tennessee
drunk people.
strain smallmouth. Is that right?
Yeah. At one point in time, they did do that. I'm not sure if they still stock it or not, but there is some phenomenal smallmouth in that river. If you guys ever get a chance, I know you guys see some big smallmouth come out of Oklahoma. There's rumors that that river may hold them.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that.
Sure.
I like big smallmouth pretty much anywhere. So
Yeah, and they're from your part of the country there, Ryan. So.
yeah, so I feel like they would know me already. Like we probably have some kinship.
That's right.
Sprinkle a little ling in the water, a little western sun in the water. They come right up to the boat.
Yes, that works as well.
What's that jug of western sun behind you there, partner?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some of that watermelon.
I haven't tried watermelon yet. I thought it was prickly pear from a distance. That was my poor eyesight.
Yeah, it's the watermelon. My wife loves the watermelon, and yeah, I like my wife on the watermelon.
All right. Okay. All righty.
Okay. Van Tine talking about phenomenal is the Susky, the end. Open your mind, Ryan Van Tine. You got to get outside of just that is a great
There's
place.
smallies everywhere, but I mean, I do love the Susky, but I'm telling you what, it is hard to beat some of these Magnum Tennessee smallies. Jay Wallen, we went back and forth, a couple of years ago when I guess it was last year actually when I caught that big one. But he's like, "Oh, that ain't no Erie fish or whatever." I'm like, Jay, it's 22¼ inches long. Like they don't get a whole lot bigger, bud. Like I don't know how much bigger of a smallmouth you want me to catch, but that's about all they got in them.
Yeah. Well, tell us how you caught them, Luke. I mean, I know I've fished around you a few times in tournaments, and we've sat and visited. Usually visiting when the day's not going so good, but this day went good for you. But I know you're a big bait guy. Did that play, or you want to tell us how you figured out the fish up the river there?
Well, not so much big baits this time. I used a jig first thing in the morning time. I alternate between topwater. I missed a couple big smallmouth on a whopper plopper, like a 90 first thing in the morning. I hate whopper ploppers, but I throw them because people say they work. But I swear they never work for me. And so I threw that for a while, missed a couple big smallmouth on it, and then I went straight to the jig because I the way the water was flowing, I just started throwing in little eddies underneath rocks and letting it flow, and that's how I caught my first big keeper, which was that 19-inch largemouth, and that was just on a little like 1/4 ounce finesse ball jig, just a small one with a little Rage Crawl Baby Junior on there. It was just a little small jig. But then I went to work went up a little bit up. I kept on going up north, and I caught them on Wacky Rig Black Cinco, and then flipping structure and laydowns all around and just working it slow. And then I also caught them on a pearl white chatterbait with a fluke trailer.
That's awesome. Nothing crazy.
That's river fishing. River fishing 101, man. Throw a crawl, throw a spinnerbait or chatterbait, and you're pretty much golden. But the trick is, like you were saying, reading those eddies, reading those current seams. If you're not super familiar with river fishing, it can be intimidating. I feel like guys look at the river and they're like, do I fish in the middle? Do I fish on the sides? Like where do I fish a channel edge? Like where are you trying to target these fish? I think that's what knocks a lot of people out of river fishing.
Yeah. And I'm surprised you're able to get far up there. I went to the Elk a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty low. And I was just curious how far people could get up to Illinois. Did you get up there quite a ways?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got up there, probably went maybe 1.5 miles up the river. Any places that got real super shallow, I mean, their water was running 100%. There was people floating by me. So, I mean, there was enough water that anybody can go up or down it. Any places that was really shallow and stuff, I wade fished and go pool to pool and just kept on wade fishing pool to pool.
Okay.
What kind of kayak are you in, by the way?
PH12.
Yeah.
I like it.
I took that all the way up there, and then whenever it got crazy, I just pull up my pedals and, get up there as far as I could.
I was going to see if Jeff was loading us up with more Old Town people.
No.
Do that.
Come on now. I knew Luke was a Hobie guy right from the jump.
You didn't tell me, though. You're keeping it a surprise, so I
right.
always got to double check you
guessing.
here.
I usually throw in Attorney X pick and say, what's that boat there under the pick? Try to get Ryan. So I guess they allow wade fishing in All American or portaging or whatever. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, so I went through the rules meticulously. I do for almost any tournament I get into just to see, what they allow and what they don't allow. And this is one of the things they allowed. And I was like, I'm all about it. Because I knew I could access places that I normally couldn't access if it was like, say, one of my OKA tournaments that we don't allow wade fishing. And so it just made it a way more fun day because I got to go up way far north, and then where other people couldn't make it, and then I just went even further. And I was by myself all day besides people floating down. And those are just little guys and little bitty things, not even fishing.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Good job. You can't beat a day of good river fishing.
No,
I'm going to switch it up. Steve-O, tell us about your day, and then we'll bounce back to Luke and hear how he got started in the whole thing. So, Steve-O, tell us what tournament you were fishing and how that played out, obviously pretty well for you.
Yeah, congratulations to Luck over there. Freaking awesome.
Now, listen, Luck coming in, Luck calling the pot Luck.
That's it, buddy. Hey, that's awesome, though, man. On that, I love stories like that. But really, though, seriously, hats off, because Ryan, no, river fishing intimidates me and pisses me off. And
God.
The state championship, I got so mad at Ryan, the one he waxed us in, because I was struggling. I lost fish on the lake, and he was like, "Dude, get in the river, get in the river." Well, when I had pre-fished it with Couth, they were rolling water, rolling, and it was. I mean, I was on the phone with you. I hooked into a big one, turned around to cast back and try to get another one, and I was 100 yards away. It just scared me to death. Well, they weren't pushing that fast during that tournament. So he was like, get it. And I just like, don't say it again. Leave me alone. I'm never going to another river again. And
I try to be nice. I fish with some of the most stubborn fools that have ever graced God's earth. We're sitting there stroking them in the river, and it's a team event. We win a big-ass paddle that says state champion team, whatever. So I'm like, guys, get to the river, get to the river, get to the river. Nope. There's 3 or 4 of them just sitting down there with freaking drop shots down there trying to catch them goofy-ass loud and largemouth. Oh, it hurts me.
That was my fault for not practicing more, because had I gotten on it when they weren't running 30,000, then I would have saw what you guys had saw. And
it was still rolling like a baby stroller. Don't let nobody fool you. You still would have hated it that day, I promise.
Yeah. Well, I think y'all had 18, but then in like 2 weeks later, a person, I think she finished 3rd in the TOC on that stretch. I was floating and fishing, man. I
think she finished 3rd. I think she finished 3rd.
I think Kristen finished 3rd.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Yeah, it was that same stretch, and I was like,
person.
Man, yeah. Well, I had a little buzz going, so.
I love it. I love it.
Congratulations to you. And I would have some Western Sun, but they don't make tequila, so get on them for that. But yeah, man, our grassroots club, TVKA, Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers, that Ryan and I have been running for a lot of years. We had our classic this weekend, and this year, me and Daniel and Lambert and AJ and Garrett Campbell, our other directors, decided to take it to Guntersville, away from Chickamauga, so we could do just like a little road trip thing. And the season ran along, and people were exhausted, so Ryan and AJ didn't get to make it, and Garrett's job switched. So, and Brad Golden, he our angler of the year. It was his baby Sweet 16, so he didn't get to make it. But so we just got down there, and we had a lot of rain this last week, and the dam was pushing like 72,000 that day when I got off work. And the plan was, in our classic, like Ryan's done it with Jody Campbell and some others, we kind of will group up 2 or 3 of us and just have a good weekend of it. Well, I talked to Terry Golden, and he was at a place we like to fish, and he was like, dude, it's been an hour and I ain't had a bite yet. I was like, well, I want to check, a spot that I really enjoy fishing, and it may be blown out, and he said, well, I would check it now instead of wasting 4 hours tomorrow getting to it and all of that. So I got in there, and it looked good. So I literally did. I stopped. I sat still. I checked all my lines. I got everything in order like I needed to be. And, I made the little, I'm not superstitious, but I do superstitious crap. So I made the first little half-ass cast so I could hurry it, reel it back in, so I wouldn't catch a fish. And damn, if it did go wham and it came off, I was like, you got to be kidding me, So I get centered. I get centered. Very next cast was, I think it was an 18.5. And so I'm great, I get it on the board, and I'm like calming myself down, and I even cut my line, retied, and I'm like, they're here. Next cast was a 21. I was just like, this is it, so I got centered and settled, and probably caught, I don't know, 8 or 10 more in about half an hour. And Sassy Dan was on the way, so he got in there, and we stroked him, and I got 93.5 inches pretty quickly, and we sat on this one point, Lambert, and it was every 3 or 4 casts we were catching a 16 to an 18 incher. It was just
and you're where I think you were. Yeah.
And it's a spacious area, but there's not enough there to fish for more than 2 or 3 people. So we get back to the house and back to that night though, dude. The bug started about to carry us off, and I literally threw right in front of Daniel's kayak and had a 6-pounder jump and just So they were eating, and there were $half size shad to big gizzard shad just running everywhere. So we get back home and we're talking with everybody, and of course Terry stunk it up that day at where we were planned on buddy fishing for the whole weekend. And so we were like, dude, come with us. It's a good size area. We got plenty of room. So we get up and we get settled. It's a long trek to get where we were. So we get in there and first cast for like 17 and a half. And I'm like, so I was like, they're here still. So I got out of the way, let them 2 go in, and they started stroking them pretty good. And Ryan, I sat and watched Terry jump off 4 or 5 pounders, just like it was just like, Terry, what are you doing? And he was just like, I don't know. And I was throwing, a 1/4 ounce underspin, with a Houdini little spanky or whatever from net bait. And he was like, I can't get them pinned. So he started throwing Texas rig. And thank God he did, because that bite shut off and we started stroking him on that worm. And, he got a pretty good limit pretty quick. And Joe Kirk just started fishing with us this year. He grew up fishing around Guntersville. He's a stud. He had like 65 inches, his best 3 fish in the TVKA.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He matched them up good on us down there.
So we just started, petering around there and then, we found this other point, and Terry pulls in like a 18 or something. Daniel throws in and catches a 20 and a half, and then a 19 or something like that. And we're just sitting there buddy fishing, and I can't. I'm catching 15s and 16s and 17s, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man! You're throwing the same thing. So I leave, get away, found some brush, threw in there, and hook into a beast that come up, and it had to be close to 9 pounds. It was a monster, and it just let it go. So I literally I got so angry, I got high. My adrenaline just shot through.
Shit. I got high.
Golly, I was just so buzzed. I was just like, you got to be kidding me,
Lord.
man. And Terry just goes, damn. I told Terry. So
who was also high? Y'all are just looking at each other like, the hell's going on here?
Well, the highlight of the trip is that, it stormed, like I said. So Terry puts on his rain suit, and it's, we're fishing and we're carrying on. And I look back over, there's Terry standing up in a T-shirt, a PFD, in his nut hugger Under Armour drawers, just fishing his ass off.
I like it.
What are you doing? He's like, well, I took my shorts off. I didn't want them to get wet and get my new truck.
There you go.
Golly.
There you go.
So he sat there for 5 hours fishing in his skivvies there. But so we sitting there, and like I said, I'm getting so angry because I'm not catching the big fish, anymore. And it's just I'm just getting frustrated, and the wind started blowing. And we love jackhammers and chatterbaits.
Who does?
And I hadn't thrown some people. So
got a mouse in the pocket.
Mouse, yeah. So I literally put on a trailer, put the juice on, and my first cast loaded up like a dump truck. And I was like, oh my God, it's a freaking catfish. And Terry said, not on a chatterbait, it ain't. So I knew it was a catfish. It was a catfish, yeah. So I'm horsing it in so it doesn't twist my line up and all that crap. And I go to net this catfish, and it's a freaking 21 3/4 largemouth. And I felt like an idiot, but I was happy,
A happy
so
idiot.
I got it. Yeah, happy idiot. And just continued to work that brush. And an hour later, I caught my final 21, and that put me at 101 and a half. And so we get back to the house, and Joe Kirk's got 98 and a half. He's been stroking them too. He's catching consistent 18 inchers. I'm catching a lot of 15 and 16s. And so we get back Sunday morning, first cast, Daniel and I double up, 16 and a half and a 17 and a half. So I'm like, they're still here, but the big ones weren't. It had stormed that night, and I think because we had like our third full moon in a row. The big ones had ate and gorged so much that they just got full. So we were catching all the 16, 17 inchers that were getting to eat finally. And we just couldn't get anything. Neither of us, the three of us, didn't cull all day Sunday. But we caught, I caught at least 60. I know Terry in 2 days probably caught 40, 50. Daniel the same.
So Steve-O is sitting here complaining about not culling on Sunday. Steve-O had 101.5 inches when he woke up on Sunday morning. Like there's not a whole lot of culling to be done when you get to that point. And
yeah, but you feel like you're not being successful. You know what I mean?
If you're beating the other dude out there by 4 inches, you're successful enough. Like, go ahead and hang. I told you, I texted you Sunday, and you're like, I ain't calling. I was like, Steve, I'd be at the house taking a nap right now. I'll go ahead and tell you, I wouldn't be out there in the rain. Period.
I wanted to go back for that big one, so I did go back to that brush. And I swear to God, my last cast, I threw in the exact same spot, and my line started swimming off, and I was like, this is it. And I set the hook, the grass pile, it was like a 90-degree turn, and I set the hook and watched that line wrap around that grass. I was like, God. So I set the hook and it cut through the grass.
That was a catfish, bro.
Was it a 12-pounder? Was it a 12-pounder?
It was a 9.
It was a 9?
I don't know. I'm going to say it was that same one. It shook, and I just like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So a little background on the area that Steve's talking about fishing. This is not like main lake stuff. This is some backwater stuff, and I knew it from duck hunting. So we've duck hunted it for the past, I don't know, 15 years. Well, there's 3 springs back in there, and we would go there during wintertime because everything would freeze up, and those springs would keep the water open. So we'd shoot the shit out of ducks. So when I started kayak fishing, I went to the only ramp on the river, and went, I don't know, it's probably 2 miles or so. Anyway, went up there, got in there. My first cast with a hollow body frog. This was like 6.5, 7 years ago. It was in the Kayak Bass Series Classic, if anybody remembers what that was. This fish comes up and knocks my frog like 6 or 7 feet in the air, and I was like, wow, that seemed aggressive. Threw back in there, and it looked like a 5-gallon bucket came up and just chokes this frog, and it's like a, I don't know, 22 3/4 freaking 8.5 pound largemouth on a frog, and I was like, that shit's legit right there. Like this may be a decent little area. And I mean, since then the place has turned out some fish. Jordan Lee sent him in there to film a frog video and freaking crushed him. Steve-O stroked him a couple times. I've heard some PKA stories come out of the area. There's been a lot of history out of that one little sweet spot, and it paid off for my boy here. That's a big one. I mean, our club's competitive enough, but the classic is like a 40-hour Ironman event. So to put that puzzle together and grind on it like that is pretty impressive. Hats off to you, Steve.
Thank you. I just knew Joe Kirk was sandbagging because I was just so nervous because, I mean, he can fish. He can.
Don't tell him that. We're going to find out in the state championship. You better bring it, Joe Kirk. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I'm sitting here waiting on Terry or Daniel to slam them too, because it was first, third, and fifth. Or the 3 of us that fished together, and But having said that, I mean, like I said, I watched Terry lose 80 inches of fish. I watched Daniel lose a 7-pounder. I mean, it was crazy. It's crazy. And in spite of, I caught 93.5 on Friday. I had 91 total on Saturday and had 88 on Sunday, but couldn't count any of them. So, I mean, yeah, I am complaining, but I'm very happy to have got to do what we got to do. And, like you said, it's our grassroots club. It's where we all got started, and for us to have it as long as we've had it and for it to continue to be growing, it's something. And it's something neither of us will ever leave. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on and some good opportunities on the horizon, but if I walked away from all of that tomorrow, we'll still be fishing TVKA because it's our family. You know, we love
You're
all
right.
these guys, and that's what made it the whole weekend so fun. Was that we're sitting here and Terry, we couldn't get bid on any soft plastic other than this one worm he had. And he gets the only bag he's got, and we split them up evenly and just sit there. Daniel
That's
was
Terry.
super gluing, you know. So that's what made it so special was all of y'all there with it. So
What do you got? What do you got at your way, Luke? What's your local joint look like?
Hang on a second, Ryan. I got a couple
sorry.
questions for
I
Steve.
apologize. I apologize. Tim.
Some people were wanting to know if you were on them edibles that Josh Smith was talking about last week. Just yes or no. You don't have,
No.
or just don't answer. That's okay.
yeah,
All right.
Blink
no,
once
sorry.
for yes.
Yeah.
I have to pee every now and then at work, so I cannot answer
Okay.
that.
Or you,
Keep
Luke.
breathing
You could have been
for
on them
yes.
too. On the Illinois, you could have stumbled on something. I don't know.
Yeah. You know those Indian lands over there, they got all sorts of stuff.
Peyote, I think's what they call it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, that's on them. That's him.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on, Ryan. What were you asking about a local club over there? Okay.
I'm sorry. I was being too serious. I apologize.
No.
Luke, what's your favorite fishing drug?
Well, it is Oklahoma, so a friend of mine is a pretty close one.
Oh shit. No, I mean, what's your local club scene? How'd you get into kayak fishing? How long have you been doing it? Give us the history of luck right here.
History of luck. This is going to be a good one. So I started kayak fishing probably 2000, I think it was 2016, 2017, right around that time. And I was looking for like small boat stuff and, you know, looking around scamps and trying to compete because, you know, I've always loved to fish. I've fished since I was in diapers. I've grown up fishing. Grandpa and Grandma lived out in Cassville, Missouri, and they had probably 350 acres. They had a natural creek that ran through there, and all I did was grow up fishing those creeks, wading and picking up crawdads and you know, catching smallmouth and largemouth out of a creek. That's just what I love doing. And so I always wanted to compete and stuff. So I was like, well, let me find, you know, the easiest and way that I can hop into something. Bass boat world is obviously just not in the realm of possibilities and I didn't know if I wanted it, you know, how serious it was going to be yet. So I went and first kayak I bought was an Ascend FS 128T. And, you know, I started hitting a little bit of the little jackpots around here. And then actually the first bigger tournament I fished was I think it was a Veterans Day tournament, Jeff, that you put on out at Swepco Lake. It was a one-fish big bass tournament. And I went out there on Swepco Lake in this FS 128. I had no business being out there unprepared like that. I mean, I was just
The wind will get
ignorant.
you. The wind will get you out there.
The wind was absolutely insane. My buddy Pete, he's one of my good Marine Corps buddies of mine. He went to the discharge, of course, where a lot of people went in November time, and he was paddling back. He had a old Predator, I forget what it is, but a paddle Predator. And man, I see him. He's just dogging, trying to get back, but. That was my first tournament experience, was fishing one of Jeff's tournaments. That was, I don't even know how long ago. I think that was probably 2016, the end of 2016.
And I didn't even remember that because the first time I remember Luke Aryan's name making a splash was right after that at the Beavers Bend tournament on Broken Bow.
Yeah.
That wasn't too long after that, was it?
No, for a lot of people don't know because it was kind of a local or more of a local tournament, but it was one of the biggest local tournaments we had. It typically turned out 100+ anglers at this tournament, and it was just people from all over the nation. Matt Scotch is there quite a lot. Guillermo
Scotch
goes there. There's a lot of big names that I'm forgetting. Of course, Jeff goes there a lot, or whenever we had it, and. 2017 was one of my first like real big tournaments, you know, $100+ entry tournaments, and I won that one out of my PA-12 with a drop shot.
There you go, that a boy, hammer their ass.
It was pretty awesome. So it was pretty surreal, but you know, you win one good tournament, it boosts your confidence for all tournaments to come, you realize anybody can do it. Not just people that are typical hammers, but you can come in there and just have a good day and put the numbers on the board.
You gotta have that big win. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I'll say Dave and Jared that put on that Beavers Bend Classic, and I hope it comes back. It kind of fell off because of COVID, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back. But that was one of the first tournaments to start drop. They were paying $5,000 to the winner. $5,000 back in 2016.
And then the second place got a Hobie Outback.
Yeah,
is that the one that Scotch won his entire guiding fleet out of?
Yeah,
holy shit! All right,
second place 3 years in a row.
That's
won Outback 3 years in a row.
You can't really be mad at that, to be honest with you. Like if you,
he actually was named. He was actually named the winner. The first. I went to the very first one of those. Were you at the You weren't at the first one, Luke. Obviously, you won the next. The very first one of those. It was still SD cards. They had a big trailer with laptops, and they were turning in SD cards and that whole song and dance. And they named Scotch the winner, but there was a scoring error, and they had to pull it from him, and he was second place. At the very first.
Oh no!
Yeah. It was quite the ordeal there at the ramp. It was all at the ramp in the parking lot.
I bet he was vocal.
He was kind of vocal over on the side.
Not Scotch. Scotch never speaks his mind.
I love Scotch.
He's a character
kind of funny.
now.
It was before social media, man, and before like the Facebook groups were too big, so people were literally in the parking lot in their own little cliques grumbling about what should have happened rather than on KBN. So. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
The world.
Yeah, it was pretty
so
funny.
Much peace.
Yeah, I was standing over there in a group with Bo Reed of all people, and everybody was bitching about what happened with the standings. But anyway,
there you
good
go.
times. Good times. It's Throwback Monday here on KBN, right?
Throwback Monday.
And that's kind of how my club started too. The club that I fish in now, and I'm a board member in, is Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. And whenever I first started fishing their events, we turned in buckets. We turned in our phones to buckets. We'd put our code in there, and we had a piece of paper that it showed, what we said it was. And then we had multiple buckets, 1 fish, 2 fish, big fish, all the way up to 5 fish. So it was pretty interesting. A lot of people, take advantage of how it was today, where you just upload everything to Tourney X, and it was like, man, back then, you're sitting there on people's phones looking at stuff, or on a digital camera. Because a lot of
part of me thought you meant that you brought the fish in buckets, and I was like, y'all are hardcore out there. That's some Louisiana shit right there. Like I got my stringer right here, boy.
Hey, let me tell you something, Ryan and Luke, you can attest to this. There's nothing that's more of a head game or more intense than when them dudes, like somebody you thought was a hammer, comes walking through the parking lot, and you're trying to see if they're gonna drop it in the 4 fish or 5 fish bucket. That was some intense stuff,
buckets.
Man.
I can't believe that. That's crazy.
They come up and hover that SD card over that 5 fish, and then just bow their head and drop it in the 3 and be all set.
What?
Yeah, that's
good times.
It's true. It's just like the boat weigh-ins. You'd sit there and you see a big boat roll up, in the boat tournaments, and you sit there and you see these people digging in the buckets and the live wells, and you're like, how many more you got with that?
How much water is he going to put in that bag?
I want to do that just because we missed out on it, Ryan.
Yeah, that was fun times, man. It was fun times.
Well, CBY, you didn't fish a whole lot before we started our club,
Two
Steve.
of those in.
Right, but CBY, it was like that. CBY, you either had, a SD card or everybody brought their cell phones up and would scroll through the pictures, and that's how the KBF opens on Kentucky Lake. That's how it used to be. Before Dwayne was forced to start Tourney X, was SD cards and phones, and that's fine. But if you have any judging errors, like there's no oversight at all. Like your old buddy said that was a 22. Steve judged my fish a 22. I don't know what you're talking about. There was zero oversight on that. So people complain a lot. At the
ramp when he checked them, we've accidentally deleted all of our fish now.
Well, people complain a lot about how things operate in kayak fishing now, and with a Iconelli thing, with the edge of his finger under the gill plate, that's too much oversight. Well, if you, in my opinion, if you don't have that oversight factor, there's a whole lot of question marks in the old kayak fishing department. Like, judging wise, and was the mouth closed? Was some of these trails, was the tail pinched and things like. I don't think our level of oversight is necessarily a terrible thing, because if not, there's a whole lot of gray area that could happen in kayak fishing.
Yeah, and there's so much trust put on that angler to do what they're supposed to do. And so like what you said, that it's a minimal amount of oversight, to be honest with you. Like in Tennessee, our rule book stays, painstakingly as simple as we can keep it. So I don't think it's too much, but you're right. And with a thing like the Ike thing, I mean, when a judge makes an error, that angler isn't punished for that. That goes through a process of recourse, and then it gets handled. We had the same thing with Pro Neighbor in Tennessee, and it sucked because we hadn't figured it out yet, and now it is figured out. So it'll get right from now on, so.
I'm working on something over here, Ryan. Keep the
Okay, no. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, congratulations to Bob Baller. I saw, remember Bob Baller when you did the Save JT, kept bidding and bidding and bidding?
I know that guy.
He won a bunch of free stuff at the MLF this weekend. So Bob
he did.
Won.
He's also going to meet Co Wetzel and hang out with Co and Dre. My buddy Dre is Co's manager, and he's going to take care of Bob and his buddy and show him a great time at the concert. So that will be one you will not forget. I'm not even kidding you. I've been to shows all over the country, and as far as literally like putting it all out there, Co leaves nothing in the bus, not a damn thing. Like, he is out there getting wild. So you're going to have a great time at that one, I promise you.
All right. Y'all ready for this? I'm about to drop one on you.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's about to happen. I'm kind of nervous.
The buckets.
There
I found
they
a
are,
picture of
the
that.
I'll be damned. Look at that.
And look at that
Look at
throwback
Hook
picture.
One.
Hook 1.
Hook
That was
One.
That was Hook 1, Oklahoma, not Hook 1,
Wow.
Chad Hoover.
The franchise. That was the franchise.
There's some funny stories behind that, which is they got no support at all from the actual Hook 1, even though they were promised it. But
there's a franchise. They wanted 20. I don't know. I'm not even going to get into numbers anyhow. There was a fee associated with that that did promise the promotion and whatnot.
That's the Swepco parking lot, Luke. The Swepco buckets right there.
I remember when Grizzly was all over it, dude. Grizzly used to Grizzly, and there was another. What was it? It had a bison, some kind of buffalo on the coolers. They were an original KBS sponsor, but anyway, those guys were in on it back in the day, pretty heavy.
Yeah.
You gave me one of those. I've still got it.
Yeah, what was that? It was something with a buffalo. Yeah.
Polar Bear
they
and Grizzly
changed their
were all
name.
in. Yeah. Polar Bear was all in, if that's what you're thinking of.
We're too old, boys. We're too old for this. That's the moral of this story.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're still putting numbers on the board. We ain't too old.
Yeah, I want to go back to the buckets. I want to go back to doing the buckets, Luke. That's all I'm thinking about now.
I know. The great thing about the buckets was, you came to the weigh-in. A lot of people nowadays, if you leave the scoreboard on, or if someone doesn't have, a really great day, they still don't show up to the weigh-in. It's kind of, I like that camaraderie, which is what we all do this. It's fun to cash a check every once in a while, or, it's fun to fish in general, but the camaraderie is the biggest thing that drew me into it. I haven't fished with people, like, especially in the Oklahoma kayak anglers, like, I haven't fished with people that are more friendly on the water. I couldn't tell you when I first started out how many people were just helping me, constantly giving me baits or telling me what to do or showing me how to, fish differently, from what I was used to creek fishing or, fishing just down below Keystone Dam. I was a whole new aspect to me. And, the community was fantastic. They reached out, they helped out. And I was able to, capitalize on really what the Oklahoma kayak anglers and the community has built me to be. So
that's what's important about the local clubs, and we talk about this a lot. But it's the grassroots stuff that keeps this whole thing going. Without your your kind of entry level stuff, welcoming people in, and like Steve was talking about, Terry Golden, splitting the worms that he's catching the fish on up between him and Daniel, or Joe McElroy, he was catching fish on a certain bait in the Bassmasters. Like, he'll throw you a pack of worms. Like, it's that mentality. Like, you want everybody to have their best day, and you beat them on their best day. And when you get in that mindset, then that's what kind of makes the whole sport better, is that kind of selfless attitude. And I think that's a unique thing that we have in the kayak fishing space in general. And I hope that always continues on. And, when we started TVKA years back, and Steve-O has just, really elevated it as far as sponsor support and prizes and things. That's something that, like Steve said, we won't ever walk away from. I won't ever do it. I don't give a shit what I got going on in my life. That's the number one priority is bringing the new people into the sport and introducing these guys to a whole new world. I mean, it's help. It's therapy, man. I mean, it'll turn your whole life around.
Yeah.
Well,
that's one thing.
You touched. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like this year I didn't fish very many of my locals, and I missed that. So, I plan to get back to that next year.
Well, and to expand on that goes, hand in hand with what, you guys were all messing around with, with California and the Northeast stuff. I mean, it's my job. It's Ryan's. It's Jeff. It's Luke's. It's our job to get our states, our grassroots people, reach out to them and hustle and get these people to sign up for a KBF or a Hobie or a Bass if it comes to town, because, that's the only way to grow it on down the line. And that's okay if you don't want things to explode and be huge, but there are a lot of people that can benefit from that. So if you've got any ounce of leadership in you, use it, because that's what you're given that for. You're not given that to sit at home and just keyboard stroke things. Hype people up. Ryan, there was a point where I guarantee he'll never admit it, but when he jumped into a national event, he was probably like, shit, what am I doing here? Same with me. But
I'll easily admit that. Easily admit that.
But, so that's what we're doing. Like Tyler Sweden up in the Northeast, he does a good job hustling and trying to get things done. And I know Snyder's and Tim and them out in California work hard to build what they do as well. But you know what? When a new circus comes into town, it's okay too. Let everybody fish everything, because we're still small. We're still small. A lot of people think we've made it farther than what we have, and we haven't. You all know that when you go to these conventions and things and you talk to people, like we mentioned, these reps, they don't know what we do yet, so we haven't made that big a splash. So keep working. Don't get comfortable and just sit back, and you talk about Joe, my scatterbrain. Joe and that bait. Terry was the same bait. So we get done. We've got 3 worms left. So we haul balls as fast as we can, get to the bait and tackle store. So before they closed, and we bought 9 packs of those worms. Get there on day 3.
Did you go to Scottsboro Tackle, or did you go to Waterfront?
Waterfront. So they won't bite. Terry said, well, boys, I knew when they had all those baits on the shelf that we wasn't going to get bit. So we kind of jinxed ourselves. But yeah, it's keep working, and get these events, put in. And for the anglers, how many times do we tell somebody, dude, it's not about the tournament. Get in the truck with us and let's go. And let's just go enjoy what we get to do. We've all done it, because you guys do, you're Midwest in Oklahoma. Is that what you call Midwest, I guess? But for us, that's that's SEC country now, son. That ain't the Midwest.
Hey, SEC's taking over the world because they know where it's at. All right,
I figured out now why, because that conference they're leaving just announced today that if they're not going to reschedule games if your team gets shut down due to COVID, you just get the L. So that's why y'all left. Y'all had some foresight there, But you guys, y'all have a showing. What was it? The first TOC that we went to with Terry and Chris. We had 4 from our grassroots club make it to the first TOC. All right, the BOS TOC, and then you had 4 from California come out. You had crews from your area, so it's there, And if there's only 65 in an event, well, that might suck. But put another one out there the next year. Maybe it gets 85. Put another one out there. Maybe it gets 105. Don't bitch and get pissed off, but just put another one out there and work to make it bigger.
The trick with the local clubs is, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit, when something like the BOS comes to town or BASS comes to town, and very well because you've been on the negotiating end, when you promise these beds and heads and attendance to these events, the municipalities stroke a check. They stroke a check depending on what you say. So for the guys to not show up and support these events, this isn't just because Hobie doesn't want to schedule an event here or Bass doesn't want to schedule an event here. It's because they have burned a bridge there, because they were like, hey, I'm bringing this trail to town. I'm averaging 115 people per event and 40 show up or 50 show up. Yeah. I mean, that is the detriment to not having the participation. And like Steve said, that's what grows this whole thing. The first national event I fished, because Steve brought it up, was the Kayak Bass Series. Where was that? Astor, Florida. That's where I met Shane Williams, Yak Addicts. That's where I'm at. Robert Field, Jamison Redding, Drew Gregory. Like, that was the first big national event. I mean, and they put on a show down there, and we loaded up. Myself, Jesse Cochran, Nick Brown, Bobby Tinker, and Cameron Gatlin. Anybody from our local area will recognize that name because there's only about 2 of us left out of that. But we loaded up and took a truck down there, rented a cabin, stayed the week, and fished this thing. Not because we knew shit about it. We didn't know anything about Central Florida in the wintertime, but because we wanted to see this grow. We wanted to see this continue to elevate. And what a lot of the new people are seeing now is the fruit of that. You know, that seed was planted and it's grown and it's matured, and people like AJ and Steve O and Dwayne Wally, like, these people have stepped up and came into the national scene and given it a bigger platform. And I'll tell you, I mean, just from the conversations I've had with actual, you know, sponsors and big companies in the last few weeks, this is it. Like, towing the line on what the next 10 years are going to look like. So continue to support these events and try to grow the entire platform for everybody, because we've made it to where we need to be. People are looking at us. Steve, you just got back from ICAST. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The big companies with the big checkbooks are looking our direction. Yes. Now is the time for you to support these trails when they come. I mean, within a 6-hour drive of you, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you were saying, Ryan, the folks in your local clubs, your tournament directors, your anglers, they're out there beating the drum, begging for tournaments, national tournaments, to come to their state. Or their, you know, when Steve was doing the national bass stuff, I was bugging Steve about bringing a tournament to Bull Shoals. I'm always bugging AJ about coming back to Arkansas. I've got no skin in that game. I don't get anything from it, but I want that here for our state. And Luke, I know that you guys, Avery, Brent Wilson used to do the same thing. He probably still does. You guys are always trying to get folks out in Oklahoma. People are doing the work behind the scenes that it doesn't even really benefit them. They just want to see those events come to their state, and when they do come, you better show up, because if 125 or 140 show up to Dardanelle in Arkansas, they don't care that Arkansas is the size of a city in California. They'll keep coming back to Arkansas.
Dude, I hate Arkansas, and I had a great time at Dardanelle. The fishing was awesome. The shithole bar we found was awesome. Like, it had all the pieces to the puzzle that I wanted to see. We got to have a dinner with you guys. I mean, I love getting to sit down and share a meal with you and Dwayne and Kyle Long, the people that I don't get to see all the time. To me, that's probably the biggest part of this whole tournament deal. You know, fishing, catching fish, cashing a check, that's cool. But this is an opportunity to kind of socialize with people and, shake some hands that you may never see again. That's the point.
That's right. Awesome stuff. We've been on here about an hour. I don't want to keep these guys too much longer. I think in the off season, I want to do a show, Ryan, if you agree, even though you're kind of anti this, like a technology deal, like where this is going with the live scope and all this stuff, because Luke was kind of an early adopter, I think, to live scope and all that stuff, and is really good with it. And I'd like to have a few other folks on here and talk about that stuff.
We need to have Ewing on with him, because that little bastard has cashed more checks off live scope than anybody that I know.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, and it's a hot topic. So I don't want to go to that rabbit hole tonight since we've been going so long. Had such a great night, but definitely want to bring you back, Luke, if you're down to talk about that at some point.
I'm always down to join you gentlemen for a good conversation. Live scope.
Live scope, yeah. And, Luke, you've been, and Steve as well, you guys have been around on the group page probably since the beginning, so we appreciate y'all there as well, keeping things lively and interesting. Yes. We're going places, boys. Cesspool, it's going places.
Show no.
Now, we got some big announcements that are coming in the next couple weeks, and again, that's thanks to the network that we built here, and and everybody's support in, listening to the show, downloading it later, and sharing it. I mean, we can't thank you guys enough. We didn't get here on purpose. This is pure accident, but we thank everybody for taking the ride with us.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest, funnest accidents I've ever been involved with. So,
yeah, you guys are doing great. Like nothing's ever a finished product. You keep chiseling and making it better. You guys are doing great. Before we leave, I just want to congratulate Luke getting to go to the TOC. I'm scratching hard to get to fish Pickwick, maybe to hopefully get lucky and qualify again. But hopefully Jeff gets his cash this weekend, and Luke, go bust their ass, beat these two guys on Eufaula, hopefully.
You ain't gonna bust my ass, Luke. I'm gonna put that out there right now,
do
son.
Do it, Luke.
Woo.
All right,
do it.
All
say
right.
his name. Say his name. It's Luck. It's Luck. Aryan.
You can say my name is Grand Champion. That's what you can call me. I'll go ahead and tell
That's
you.
what friends do, Luke. I passed that up for you.
We've been there, baby.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank y'all. I appreciate everything.
Yeah, man. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Ryan?
No, I'm good.
All right. Goodbye. No, that was an awesome night. And like I said before when we started, please go help us out on the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that thing as well. So just give it a simple click. Just takes a minute. It's free. Just click subscribe.
We're growers, not showers. Give us
right.
a subscribe.
Definitely,
Let's go.
definitely that.
Subscribe to
right, y'all.
OnlyFans.
I told you to quit telling people that.
Sorry.
All right.
Take me nowhere.
Good luck in the cross, everybody. We'll see y'all next Monday.
Good night, folks.
Yeah, we gone.